Tal Pavel. Welcome to be here in our TV station, UVT TV.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah. You are so-called a specialist in Middle West studies. You publish numerous articles, papers in this area of expertise, new media, terror, and cyber world. Tell me, we live in a sophisticated world. We don't have arms, guns, but we have terrorism on internet.
Indeed. Well, you know, this area of time, this period of time that we live in, it's very sophisticated.
Yeah.
On one hand, there are always benefits and advantages. On the other hand, there are challenges and disadvantages.
Or weakness.
Or weaknesses.
Or addiction.
Or addiction. Or every time, in every new technology, in every new tool, in every new application. So we know the advantages. We know the benefits of the new period of time that we live in it. Mobile applications, cellular phones, social networks, internet, and
our refrigerator.
Our smart refrigerators.
Yeah.
But we do not know enough, and we do not pay attention to the negative sides, to the perhaps bad effects of those characteristics of this dimension, new dimension. And it can affect everyone. You and I as the end users, I mean, what is left from our privacy and anonymity?
Yeah.
Probably nothing. And you know, it's kind of cost effective. And if I can tell from myself, I would say that I give up. I gave up. I gave up from my privacy.
Yeah.
Because we are afraid of our privacy on one hand, but if we give up and lose our privacy, we received a lot of information, a lot of services, and a lot of benefits. So with a lot of conscience, we decide to let our privacy and anonymity go. And on the other hand, we received a lot of information. It's amazing. There are smart homes, smart houses, smart factories. Smart. What is smart? Smart is connectivity.
Yeah.
I mean, connectivity which, with my cellular phone, I can start the cleaning of my vacuum cleaner at my house. It can be hundreds and thousands of miles away from here. So on one hand, it's amazing that I can push the green button on my cellular phone and my vacuum cleaner will start to functioning at my house. It's great. But on the other hand, if someone can breach and penetrate into my cellular phone, you have the ability to control my home and to know how my home looks like. Where are the entrance, where are the rooms. He know everything about my home.
You don't have the feeling that you picture a dystopia? We live in a dystopia?
Yes, but the question is, do we have the ability to say, whoa, whoa, stop. I do not want to play in this game.
Yeah.
Perhaps the sad story and the sad effects are that as long as the times go on, our abilities to say, stop, I don't want to play.
Yeah.
Let's hold the horses and I want to step down from the carriage and walk to my village and not to... No, we can't.
No.
Because you can say, well, I do not have Facebook account, perhaps, but you have probably Gmail account. And Google knows everything about ourselves, everything that we do.
You said a green button, but we have also the red button.
Indeed.
Yeah, the red button
that can create perhaps...
application of the red button, it's more dangerous.
Indeed.
Because in North Korea, USA, Syria, Iran, Iraq, and so on.
And their abilities, perhaps, to create physical damage or even war. And you know, the amazing thing is that in the physical world, we know how to live because we see each other. We know how to communicate. We know how to react, perhaps how to respond, how to deterrent, because we live for centuries, for 1,000 years in this physical world. But in the cyber dimension, it's completely new.
Yeah.
How do we react?
The threat is abstract, but in a way became concrete.
Indeed, because I give an example. If North Korea launch a missile, we can see it. We know how to react. We know that North Korea launch missiles. It launch from this point. It will land at that point, and we know exactly the whole scenario. And in that way, I don't know, perhaps the U.S., United States, know how to react. But if North Korea, for example, will launch not a missile, but a cyber missile, cyber attack, will we know that they launched their attacks? Probably not. Do we know that this cyber attack was launched by North Korea? Not necessarily. Do we know when this attack occurred? Probably not, because we can know that cyber attack occurred perhaps months, and a lot of months after the cyber attack was initiated. And the damage, perhaps someone can, create camouflage in this, that there will no traffic light, no light in the streets, but we will think that it was caused by malfunctioning of the systems. And we will not understand, even not the responsible person, the technical guys, they will not know that it's not simple malfunctioning. This malfunctioning was caused due to cyber attack. So this dimension is something like between a bit and a more complex. And since it's not a physical one that you and I can see each other and know how to react and to respond and deterrent, the main problem is what is called the attribution problem. Because if we know that North Korea launched a missile, the United States know to attribute this launch of the missile to North Korea and know how to react. But if someone will create a cyber attack and we don't know who launched this cyber attack, we cannot attribute. And in case you cannot attribute, how can you react?
You as an expert on these cyber attacks, do you feel that we have now, in the present, a state of equilibrium?
It's a very interesting question, because as far as I see it, and I said it even several years before, I see the cyberspace like a balance of power between supernations, between nations also. And there are two characteristics, as I see it. The first is that the cyber power can be kind of a power of balance between nations, between states, between superpowers. And the second, and this is also the amazing thing, it can be kind of doomsday device, a kill switch. I mean, and those two features are the same as the nuclear weapons were at the 20th century. Because at the 20th century, we were afraid of the nuclear facilities, nuclear weapon, because it's may kill everyone. It's the doomsday device. And B, it's creating kind of a power balance between the superpowers. The same as the nuclear weapons, where in the 20th century, I see the cyber capabilities, the cyber power, the new nuclear facilities, the new nuclear capabilities of the 21st century, 21st century. Why? Because with cyber capabilities, you can create physical damage
And chaos.
and chaos, indeed. Because let's think about scenario. If someone, probably state actor, can infiltrate a hospital,
And unplug.
unplugged. The first Sunday it will unplug the oxygen.
Yeah.
Monday the electricity. Tuesday the sewage machine. I don't know.
It's easy to create today chaos, global
You
chaos.
know, I'll tell you two things. First of all, and let's go back to our first discussion, our daily life become more and more depend on information technology and operation technology. At the bottom line, our daily life as citizens, not tech service, you and I, became more and more depend on technology. Even if the traffic light, even if the light in the street, they are operated by computers.
Yeah.
So all our daily life is manipulated and orchestrated by computers. That's fact A. Fact B is if someone finds the ability to infiltrate, to penetrate into those systems, he can create physical damage. This damage is cyber damage because it's a damage that was caused by an actor that find the loophole, find the ability to penetrate into those systems and to create manipulation on those operational systems and to create a devastating damage.
Yeah.
I'm deeply sorry that it sounds like,
a dystopia.
Yes, this horrific, yes, but you know, we read from time to time news at the media outlets, headlines, and in some cases it's look like, well, it sounds like science fiction, but hey, it's our daily life.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And leaked off of millions of records from Facebook, and a few days ago there were news headlines about the Chinese that managed to create a very tiny chip that they plugged into the motherboard of sold to Amazon and Apple, and eventually perhaps to listen to all the transaction and activity of Amazon and Apple. So on one hand you can say, no, it can't happen, and it's science fiction. But hey, probably that happened. And the allegations that Russia, during the presidential election in the US, the allegations said that 4 out of 5 voting system in the US, 80% were breached. So think about it. What's the meaning of 80% of voting system were manipulated? It means that perhaps state actor can have the ability to decide who will be your president. Well, it sounds horrific. It sounds a science fiction, but hey, probably it's our daily life.
Cyber, when you said about cyber attacks, we know it's speak about a lot about hybrid war.
Mm-hmm.
It's a link. It's a link between that.
Of course, and the hybrid between the cyber and the physical is that those physical weapons and our physical life, our daily life here in the street, is managed and handled by computers, by operational systems. Once again, it can be the traffic light, it can be waters, pumps, it can be the gas station. Everything is handled by this or another kind of a computer device, computerized device with this way or another sophistication. It can be chips, it can be controllers, it can be, I don't know, pumps of gas station or electricity or whatsoever. And if it can be manipulated, it can create physical damage. The manipulation is in the cyber dimension, but the damage is totally physical. and will totally affect our daily life. And this is the connection. And you can take it also to the military dimension, because the weapons, the ammunition, the vehicles, the airplanes, the vessels, they are all physical. But hey, they are controlled by chips, by motherboards, by processors. And if someone, perhaps state actor, probably state actor, can find the hole to infiltrate into those systems from the cyber dimension, he can create totally physical damage, in which you will try to push the red button in order to launch the missile, but since I am for a long period of time inside your systems, you will push the red button, but nothing will happen. In the good case, in the best scenario, but in the worst scenario, the missile will explode in the silo.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm a friend. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You are a guest professor
Indeed.
at your university, and your lecture about online fake news and social engineering, digital mind manipulation by terrorist organization and state,
Indeed.
and terrorism and cyberspace, and that I like very much. Ancient ideology, modern body.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Well, those two guest lectures of mine to the students of West University here in Timișoara, and once again, it's a real, a very good opportunity to thank for you and for all the relevant person and responsibles for inviting me here to give those lectures and to get familiar with the university. And the management. And yes, I choose those two topics because on one hand, it's not related to cyber, social engineering, fake news, terrorism. It's not creating physical damage, as we just said, to electricity, to water pumps, to a gas station.
But fake news work with our minds.
Indeed.
And our minds determine our comportment, our action.
Indeed. Yeah. And I will show in my lecture, think about a situation in which you see an interview with your president and he says something, but you cannot be sure that the word it's his own. Perhaps you see his face in the video clip, but someone created manipulation and glued his texture of lips. And someone is speaking and someone creating manipulation, and you see the lips moving under the face of your president,
discourse,
and it's a fake interview. And you can say, no, it's a science fiction. But I'll show it. They made it, student in the US create something like that with
and demonstrate that
of President or former President Obama.
This is very spooky.
Yes, and it's amazing, and it's once again, it's like science fiction, because if we're in a situation in which we cannot be sure not only what we read, what we see and what we hear in our senses, we are in a very bad situation. And I was in a conference, and my counterpart to the panel said, perhaps we'll have to go back to several centuries ago in a situation in which I can believe only if I see you in the physical world. Only if we'll sit together and I see you, only then I can believe you. And believe what I see and what I hear. Because if we are currently in a situation in which I see a video clip of you, and I can't be sure that it's your voice and it's your word, we are in a very bad situation. It can be easily created manipulation on our mind to tell someone to do something else in the name of the president. Okay. So to read fake news, okay, but to be in a situation in which you can't believe what your eyes see, the visual that your eyes see, is completely new layer. It's completely new danger. And yes, it's one of the topic under this wide umbrella of cyber. And what I try to make understand and to clarify that cyber is a very wide umbrella, and it's not only the technical issues. It's not only coding, programming. It's not only processes, and not only sensors. Cyber is also politics, and it's also law, and it's also psychology, and it's also cultures and beliefs, and it's everything. Why? Because once again, our lives depend on technology, and technology is wide range. It can be smartphone, and it can be all the processors and sensors that control our lives. You know, there is a smart home. What is smart home? Smart home is, in most cases, when we put security webcam in order to be more safe, more secure. And the smart home is the ability to control this.
Everything,
to control this security webcam using our cellular phone. But if there is no password and username to this webcam, it's not that you're more safe in your house, you are more vulnerable. Because I can be in your house, I can see what you are doing. So you think that you are more secured because you plugged webcam, security cam, and you are more secure because you can control it with your cellular phone. But if you didn't arrange previously secure username and secure password, contrary, you are more vulnerable than more secured. And this is a purely psychological issue, because someone thought that if you plugged in, if you connect a security webcam at your home, you need to create username and password for your webcam, just a security webcam. I don't need to create username and password for my security webcam at my house that I bought in a few euros. No. But it's completely new dimension that, yes, I have to create username and password even to my smart refrigerator, or to my smart vacuum cleaner, or to my smart washing machine, I don't know.
It's all about the control, to control everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
For the good and for the bad.
Yeah. Why an ancient ideology, modern body? Why?
Why the title Ancient Ideology and Modern Body? Because in this lecture, I'll try to cover how does terrorist organization, more than one, use the internet and technology and encryption applications and social networks to not to create physical damage, cyber physical damage as we mentioned just now, but to create physical terrorist acts.
Yeah.
And now, creating physical terrorist act is completely life cycle. It's a whole life cycle to spread the message and to mobilize person and to raise fundraising, and to raise money, and to recruit the people and to gather information and intelligence and to communicate between the participants. And what I said, it's now in this dimension. The terrorist activists can create most of those stages online. They can raise money using the internet. They can communicate using an application, security application, or Telegram or whatsoever. And I wanted to show how, I don't know if it's easy, but how can terrorists use wide range of technological solutions to create old terrorist activities and to try to manipulate and to try to implement old ideologies, because the ideology didn't change. It's old ideology, but the body it's new. The body,
new,
the technology is new. Indeed, high tech. So they try to implement old ideology using the new body, using the new methods, using the new technologies. That's what I meant.
In the final of our interview, please give us a good news.
Good news. I think the good news is that we are, as a person, as individual, as states, as organizations, we are changing constantly. And there are lots of benefits. And the words that I will use is awareness. I would say that we need to have more awareness in all the levels. It can start with end users, you and I, with the kids at elementary school. The awareness of the kids at the elementary school is not perhaps how to connect and coding. No, nothing like that. But it can start with someone connect you and address you at social media. How you react if you have username and password, what is strong password, what is weak password. But to start with this awareness, basically with the end user, with the kids after elementary school, perhaps in the kindergarten, because kids know how to use tablets before they can speak. We know that. And it's relevant to organization, to bodies, to institution, and of course to states. In those days, we have a lot of powers in our hands. We, the individual, have a lot of power to change situations, to create revolutions.
Do you think that?
Yeah, we have a lot more power. We can argue whether this power is for the good or for the bad. But in this situation, in this modern time, you and I as end users, we have a lot of power. Sometimes those social networks in totalitarian states are kind of insurance, because opposition activists can post in their Facebook or Twitter accounts that I'm here and I intend to be here, and if something will happen to me, you will know where I was, where I traveled. So yes, these social networks and this.
But also we have a country in the network. It's pull off. It's off.
Yes. But also in those situations, the internet users and the citizen, we always try and we always find the way, the technological way to bypass it. And to find the way to the information and to find the way to communicate each other. Think about the way of women in oppressed countries. They can express themselves. They can talk. They can write. Not all of them. And of course, if there is alliteration, and not all the women and not all the children can have access to the internet. But alongside with disadvantages and challenges and the negative effects, there are a lot of goods and encouraging features of this digital age.
So the future is
complex. Yes, complex.
Okay.
We always have to be aware, to know the benefits, to know the advantages, but to be aware to the disadvantages, to the obstacles, to the negative sides, to be aware, not to be afraid of, because it won't help us. We need to cope it, but to get familiar not only from of the benefits, but also with the challenges and disadvantages.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.